welcome back to another episode of The Art of Living. And today I'm going to be sharing my perspective on timeline shifting, why I decided to go into teaching this with The Art of Living and sharing what I'm doing as I shift timelines. So, I've got some big news. I've got a timeline that I'm shifting into right now. So I'm going to be speaking from that perspective and sharing what that looks like when you want to shift your life and the importance of timeline shifting and understanding why that matters right now in our society, in what's going on in the world. So I'm going to kind of break that down. So let's start off with the news. Me and Christina are moving to Mount Shasta for the summer. We are going to be traveling across country by car, and we're going to meet at the mountain, and we're going to be meeting one of just beautiful souls that we have met along this journey, and we're going to be working together and exploring the magic of the mountain. We all happened to meet at our retreat last April. Felt very ignited to this path to explore what it is, the magic of Mount Shasta, but as it relates to us personally. So we're going to be heading out very shortly. So this is a timeline shift when you're going to move from one modality of living to another. Here we were living in Florida, running the sanctuary. Life goes on. We're doing that. But now there's this really call to go to this mountain. And so we're closing up what is here in Florida to now make this move. And so when I talk about a timeline, I mean that old version of me has to go away. Like I have to die in some way. I have to let go of the old version of me that would keep me stuck, which is what typically fear, comfortability, vulnerability, all of those kinds of things keep us in one place. But I'm going to tell you that the way that the world is going, we're on a soul mission. And when the soul is calling, that's the heart space, the heart center, it is in our best interest and our highest and best interest that we follow those timelines. So this is when you start evolving into connecting with your soul, is this how I like to think about it, then you're going to be more on that timeline. You're going to be more susceptible to those things. Whereas if you're on the older timeline where we're just living in the matrix, we're doing the 9-to-5 jobs, we're doing what we've been told to do, and we're basically living the same story. So this is us not living that story, is creating a new story, a new timeline, which is going to involve shifting. It means we have to shift through fear. We have to shift through uncomfortability. We have to shift through all the things and then move us into the timeline. So a lot of things have to happen. And this is where energy alchemy and self-mastery comes in, because now I want to be totally conscious of what I am bringing to the table when, we're going to make this move. It's really exciting to answer the call of the heart. It's really exciting to answer the soul purpose. And each of our soul purposes lead us to the next level, basically. So, let's say, for me, the first was me leaving my corporate job, as I discussed last episode. So that was one part of my soul purpose. But if I hadn't have done that, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. So it all plays a part, whatever level you're on in your reality. To me, it's like that has led me to where I am now. It's also taught me the lessons that I need to know in order to be able to make the decisions I'm going to do. Because it's not easy. It's not easy to let go sometimes. The ego wants to keep us in place. And that the ego is basically all the programs, the stories, all the excuses we make, all that comfortability that keeps us in the shell. I'm going to be recording my journey to Mount Shasta. I'm going to be recording the lessons for, this journey. So learning along the way is essential to my process, is that I'm always learning. And even the hard lessons that I've learned along the way has given me the strength and courage to do what I'm going to do moving forward. So the reason I want to go to Mount Shasta is because we shared a retreat experience in April. And what I experienced on the mountain is unlike anything I've ever experienced before. The vibration of the mountain was so high. It felt like I was living in heaven on earth. Everything was just flowing. The relationships we had there were just so unified. We were just basically living in a wonderful experience, and just everything felt easy, effortless. And so to me, that is heaven on earth. That is where we need to be as humans. We have lived in suffering for so long, and to experience something like that, my soul knows that this is a real possibility for us every day in our lives, but it requires us to awaken, ascend, and enlighten ourselves as to what it is why we're not living there. So this goes back down to my ideas of like everything is energy. So within us, we suffer because of the energy that we have carried in for some reason, whether that was lineage, ancestral, whether it's from predictive programming. So, we have to decode that in ourselves. And so I've been decoding myself for the last several years and just figuring out what it is where I have suffering in my life. I'm just talking about my life. I'm just talking about what it is that I go through day-to-day basis in terms of my suffering, in terms of what keeps me in that locked up tight position, not feeling free, not feeling living. So this is the inner work, the self-alchemy that we do in my art of living. This is all that I'm talking about, is really just how to unpack the energy that we've stored. Everything is stored in the body, so that density that we're carrying right now. And when we start to move that density, then we're going to start to want to move and shift our lives. So it's very possible that during these times of energy alchemy that we may want to move or change things. So it's a very real possibility. And so that's what's happening for me, is that just the vibration that I'm living at right now is really feeling very in alignment with Mount Shasta. And so I just felt like I need to go camp, I need to get out there, and I need to be on this mountain. And it's a very spiritual place. And it has, if you go there, you'll know, which is why we're doing our retreats there, because it just allows us to kind of bypass all the, I'm going to say 3D constructs, and it just helps us feel what the vibration could be like when we ascend and enlighten and awaken ourselves to a higher state of being. So on my next journey, my soul path, that's where I'm at. I want to continue to enlighten myself. I want to continue to work through the matrix programs. And I also think that during this time, in society, we're in a big time of disclosures. So there are being disclosures. If you turn on the news right now, they're talking about aliens, they're talking about extraterrestrials, they're talking about technology, things that we've been talking about for the last couple of years, and they're starting to put it out on the news. So this is huge, and this is huge for humanity, is that there's a huge wake-up call coming, and if you're looking and paying attention, you're going to see it. I think that, in my personal opinion, you'd have to be sleepwalking not to see that the world is going through a shift, that there are things in society. We're all waking up to a lot of different things in our own ways. And I'd love to hear in the comments, what it is that you guys are waking up to, that you're seeing, hey, something's off. There's glitches in the matrix. There's things that are just feel weird that are changing. I feel like collectively there's a feeling of, I really want to be free. And that's what I'm answering to into Mount Shasta. This is a sense of freedom. And another principle that I believe is that we can be a slave to anything, even spirituality, even the things that we hold so dear. We can become a slave to that, and anything could become our master. So that is why I teach sovereignty. That is why that's one of the guiding principles in my art of living, is that we need to maintain our sovereignty. And that means I can decide if I need to move to a place that maybe something I've even created in my own bubble has now made me a slave to it. That can be money, jobs, outcomes, people. So it's becoming very aware that sometimes we do need to move that around just to shake that energy up. And so how I feel Mount Shasta is for me is that actually is going to free up some energy for me in different ways to keep pursuing the things that I love, the dreams that I want to keep living. And so I'm really, really excited, because we're also going to be doing retreats out there. So our next retreat is in August, where we're going to be deep diving into these frequencies in the mountain, and we're going to have spent all summer working there and really bringing that to the table. So, and to me, these high frequencies elevate us. They elevate our life. They elevate our timelines. That means that I can live on a desired timeline. If I want more peace in my life, then I go to that timeline. If I want to experience this in my life. I also think that right now, timeline shifting is just key, because there are going to be timelines that are unfolding in society, in humanity, that you may not want to live in. So, and I'm speaking of predictive programming. When you turn on the news and you watch the news talk about these catastrophes, war, things that are coming up, those are storylines, in my opinion, that are being told to humanity because they want us on that program. And it is a program. You literally turn on the TV and turn on the news program. So in order for us to not be in that timeline, we have to understand how to shift out of it, which means the number one key into the predictive programming is fear and consumption. I need to consume, or I need something. If you look at prescription drugs and the pharmaceutical world, they're predicting something that you're going to happen, and they're creating a storyline for you to think, I need those prescriptions, I need those drugs. And that is all we see on TV. And so that is a timeline that you can get stuck in until you do the inner work to say, I want to release those codes, and so that I don't end up in a place like that where I would needing to be a slave to drugs or prescriptions. So this works on many, many levels. And there are a lot of levels to this concept. And so that's what I've been working on, is looking at levels in my life. Where am I becoming a slave, even in my own life? And making sure that I'm only living in the desired timeline that is in alignment with my soul sovereignty purpose, that is in alignment with my higher self as a free being on this earth. So I believe that these are very pivotal concepts right now that I am using on the daily, already in the journey to Mount Shasta. So already to shift in that, we have to see, what am I holding on to here in Florida that particularly could prevent me from having a smooth, easy process. And this will be in every part of the journey, like down to the car, down to the timing, everything. So once you get these calls, though, you really want to get in there and start moving the energy, because it's a timeline that already exists that I can now step into, and I can bring it into reality here. So that is how I basically work on a timeline. So I'm going to be recording the Mount Shasta journey. We're a couple weeks out from starting that journey and driving across country. And I know that there's going to be lessons and learnings and things coming up that I'm going to be sharing with you guys on this process. So definitely leave any questions or comments. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next episode.
Are you ready?